He thought he could charge me $25 to drive on my own road, my own damn road, the one my great-granddaddy cut through cedar with a mule team before Arizona was even a state. I remember staring at that bright white toll gate like it had sprouted overnight out of pure arrogance, thinking, well, here we go. Some folks see a gate. I saw a declaration of war. I was about 5 miles out from the ranch when it came into view. Shiny metal bolted into fresh concrete. 2 reflective signs blinking in the Texas sun like they were proud of themselves. One read, "Private community toll access only, $25 per entry." The other screamed, "Trespassers will be reported." I slowed the truck. Gravel popped under my tires. A man in a neon vest unfolded himself from a camping chair like he'd been waiting for his big moment. "Morning," I said, leaning out the window. "Good morning, sir," he answered, clipboard clutched like a badge of honor. "I'm going to need you to pay the community toll before I can raise the gate." I blinked at him. "You're going to need me to what?" He pointed at the sign. "Canyon Heights HOA policy. All non-residents pay." "That road leads to my ranch," I said, slow and steady. "Been in my family since Grover Cleveland was president." He gave me the kind of smile you give a confused toddler. "According to the development boundary, this access point is controlled by Canyon Heights HOA. I laughed once dry. "Son, I was driving that road when Canyon Heights was a deer blind and a pile of limestone. That's my gate post you poured concrete around." He shifted back a step. "I'm just following instructions." I asked his name. "Brian." Of course it was Brian. "Well, Brian," I told him, "I'm going to turn around. 5 minutes. When I come back, that gate better be gone." He shook his head. "I can't." "Then don't be here." I backed up slow, parked on the county shoulder, sat there breathing. Then I reached up to the overhead rack and unlatched the leather holster. My old Mossberg 590 slid into my hand, same shotgun my dad kept in the truck when he taught me fence lines and water rights. Legal, loaded, calm. When I rolled back up, Brian was on his phone, eyes wide. "I'm going to say this once," I told him. "Move off my property." He started to protest. I racked the slide. That sound travels straight to the spine. He dropped the clipboard and scrambled clear. I stepped out, aimed at the cheap padlock, not at him, never at him, and fired once. The lock burst in sparks and metal dust. Gate swung open like it knew it had lost. I drove through. By the oak tree near the first cattle field, I hammered a sign into the dirt beside the old stone marker my great-grandfather set a century ago. Private land. Access by court order only. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't raging. I was done playing nice. An hour later, a tan, uniformed courier dropped an envelope in my mailbox. Court summons. According to the HOA, I had threatened a licensed security guard, destroyed community infrastructure, and trespassed on an HOA road. Aggression. On my own land. I called my lawyer Gina Alvarez land use bulldog, no nonsense. I read her every word. "They're claiming the road is in their internal street plan," she asked. "Yep." "That's not just wrong," she said. "That's reckless. Send me every deed and survey you've got." Then I called Tom Randall, a geodetic surveyor who trusted GPS more than politicians. By noon, he was in my kitchen with maps layered like lasagna, 1937 servitude grants, county GIS overlays, and Canyon Heights glossy brochure. Side by side, the lie glowed. My road, Harper Road, clearly marked as private access terminating at my ranch. On their map, redrawn as Canyon Ridgeway curving sweet and innocent right up to my gate like it always belonged to them. "They shifted the boundary about 70 feet, Tom said, tapping the overlay. Subtle, smart fraud. That evening, my phone buzzed. Distorted voice. "I installed that gate. Check your mailbox tomorrow." Next morning, plain envelope. Flash drive. "Note for your lawyer. Backed up elsewhere." I plugged it in. Grainy dash cam footage. 2 weeks earlier. A contractor standing by that same gate. Facing a woman in sunglasses, clipboard under her arm. "Karen Hale." I looked at the plans, the contractor said. "This is deeded private access." Karen waved him off. "The county won't stop us. We've got an adjusted map. Just get it up before the ranch guy figures it out. If he makes a scene, let security handle it. Courts don't like a man with a gun rack and a temper." She was setting me up, Gina called within minutes. "This is premeditated abuse of process," she said. "She wanted you to react so she could weaponize it. Turns out the security guard not licensed. Karen's nephew in a vest bought online." Then came the real twist, Jack from the sheriff's office called. "There's another ranch north of you, the Moores. HOA rerouted storm runoff straight into their cattle pond." I drove over that evening. Earl Moore met me at the gate, mad enough to chew nails. "They tried to buy us out," he said, "then flooded our land. My wife got sick from mold." He handed me engineering reports, runoff diversion intentional. This wasn't about a toll gate. It was about pressure. force neighbors to sell, consolidate land. Then Reese Donnelly from the Texas General Land Office dropped the bomb. Your road, he said on video call, is tied to protected aquifer access. Letter of record from '98 excludes it from any future incorporation. Water. They weren't stealing gravel. They were trying to control the aquifer under the eastern ridge. That's when it stopped being personal. It became predatory. By the time we hit district court, the courtroom felt electric. Karen sat polished and smug in a white blazer flanked by lawyers. Judge Jenkins didn't waste time. Gina laid out the 1937 plat, the GPS overlays, the forged signature from a surveyor who'd retired 2 years before the document was dated. Then she played the audio. Karen's voice filled the courtroom. If the farmer moves, we'll just say he threatened the guard. The court will take our side. Silence. Is that your voice? The judge asked. Karen stammered about context. Context, the judge said, is what we determine at trial. He ordered the gate removed within 72 hours and referred the matter for criminal review. Outside, Karen screamed at her lawyers in the hallway. Cameras caught it all. But she still wasn't done. She filed a personal lawsuit against me for emotional distress. $250,000. That's when Gina showed up on my porch with coffee and a folder that changed everything. Financial records, property parcels, shell companies. Guess who owned a majority stake in the development company behind Canyon Heights? Karen Hale. She wasn't just HOA president. She was the developer hiding behind paperwork, inflating land value, manipulating maps, positioning herself to control water access before selling to a Houston REIT for $12 million. When that deal collapsed after the fraud went public, the developer sued her. Courtroom 3B was packed for the criminal hearing. Judge Morales presiding this time, sharp eyes, no patience. Gina laid it out clean. Forged cadastral maps, unauthorized checkpoint, false authority, shell companies, aquifer manipulation. Then she introduced an internal HOA newsletter Karen had written weeks before the gate. We're reclaiming the South Road, it read. The old landowner doesn't contribute to the community. That road will become ours soon enough. Game over. Judge Morales leaned forward. This court finds substantial evidence of fraud, conspiracy to falsify public records, and criminal obstruction of lawful private property. Gasps filled the room. Deputies stepped forward. Cuffs clicked around Karen's wrists. She didn't fight, just looked stunned like she couldn't believe consequences were real. 2 weeks later, the injunction was permanent. Canyon Heights HOA dissolved. Court-appointed receiver liquidating assets. Damages paid to me and the Moores and half a dozen others she'd bullied. Karen got 12 years. Her partner 9. The assessor who approved the forged plat, federal investigation pending. The day the county supervised the gate removal, I stood on my porch and watched the flatbed haul off the twisted metal. Steel clanged. Sun hit the empty road. Wind rolled clean over the gravel like it had 100 years before. I'll tell you something I learned through all this, and it's not about guns or gates. Paper is powerful. People in blazers with clipboards and legal jargon can make you feel small real quick. They bank on you folding. They assume you don't have the stomach for a fight. But land has memory. Records exist. And truth, when layered right, is heavier than lies. Karen thought history was negotiable. That old-timers don't sue. That fear is cheaper than permission. She forgot one thing. This wasn't just dirt. It was inheritance. It was water. It was legacy. Now there's a new steel-tooth gate at the edge of my road, my gate with cameras and floodlights and a hand-painted cedar sign that reads private road. Trespassers will be fed to the cows. So far, nobody's volunteered to test it. And sometimes when I'm sitting on the porch at dusk watching the sun drop behind the ridge, I think about how close she came. One forged map, one unchecked signature, one judge having a bad day, and I could have been locked out of my own history. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many people lose land not because they're wrong, but because they're tired, because they don't have a Gina or a Tom or a flash drive in the mailbox? At what point does community management become corporate conquest? I'd love to hear what you think. Was I right to fight fire with fire, to rack that shotgun and make a point, or should I have trusted the system from the start? Drop your thoughts below. Have you ever dealt with an HOA developer? Somebody who thought paperwork outranked truths, because out here justice came down a gravel road slow and steady. But when it arrived, it didn't ask permission.